I'd ask those who were in this group I work with, would y'all come up here, please? Today is we do home missions, and let me just say something about home missions. I've heard this often where students feel like, well, we didn't do missions, we just did busy work. And let me just say to you, that's absolutely 100% wrong. First of all, if you were to ask everybody went on missions, what they did, most of what they did was physical labor. And so, listen, it's just as much missions. The missions is not dependent on location. In other words, if you've done the same thing and you went to Abilene and spent the night in Abilene, did the same exact work, you'd say, well, we did missions. But because we did it in Lubbock, it really wasn't missions. And that's not true. Missions is not dependent on location. Let me tell you what missions is. It is showing God's love by meeting a need. And when you meet the needs of people, and you do it just out of love, and you're showing them God's love, and then what you do is this. You become a light, and that attracts them to God. And that opens them up to the spiritual world. So it's meeting the physical needs, and it opens them up to the spirit. And listen, the people in Lubbock are just as important as the people anywhere else. So you did do mission work. And then the other thing I want you to understand, the value of missions work. Now, if God blessed the people who went to Guatemala, God blessed the people who went to Bogota, God blessed the people who went to Kosovo and Macedonia. But you want to know why God was able to bless them? He was able to bless them because of what you did in Lubbock. Now listen, God is picky. He has this idea that what he wants ought to be done, that he knows what's best. And we get God's blessing when we follow God's ways. Now, what is God's way for missions? Here's what he said. When he started the church, he said, you go first of all to Jerusalem, then you go to Judea, then you go to Samaria, then you go to the ends of the earth. What is Jerusalem for us? Lubbock, Texas. And what is Judea for us? The state of Texas. What is Samaria for us? The United States. Then we go to the ends of the world. You see, one reason God blesses us, we do it his way. We start at home, and then we go into the world. So I just want to encourage you students that stayed here. What you did was important. You were a blessing, and it laid the foundation for everything else we did. Where's Mr. Havens? Here we go.
Okay, so we did elderly care, which is lawn work for elderly folks in our community. And I feel like that's really significant because we served those who have spent their lives building the world we all live in. And that's important. And I think that one of the biggest shames in our culture today is that we forget those people. We forget the people that built today. And so I'm really glad we got the opportunity to do this. And I'm going to actually let them talk mostly about what we did. But these guys all worked really hard, despite some failed schemes to speed the work up with leaf vacuums and irrelevant technology. They just put their back into it and used a rake, and they did very well. So I'll let them speak to what we did.
Okay, so basically what we did, we went to a lot of houses and raked up leaves and cleaned out garden beds. And what we were doing, we were just doing the work that elderly people didn't have the time to do or weren't physically able to do. So I saw that as a blessing because we were able to alleviate some of the stress they had and then get a lot of work done. We did about 10 houses maybe, I think, something around there in the entire week. And we were also able to bless some of the teachers just because they used so much of their time here with us.
Most of the people we worked for were like old ladies. I would say Miss Garrett and Miss Walcott were old ladies, but when you're in your 20s, you don't really count. Bonus points. Yeah, I know. The first house we went to, we thought we would just like rake some leaves, rake some more leaves, and then we'd leave. But that's pretty much what we did, and that's what to be expected. And then afterwards, we got these just godforsaken cookies from this old lady. They were like cinnamon pecan, and Mr. Holiday just told us to be nice and try to eat them. And while we weren't looking, Mr. Holiday was like packing them in his hoodie. and he was holding like a plate of 18. He had at least 12 cookies in his hoodie, just getting rid of them. And whenever the old lady went inside, we were like chunking them over the fence, just getting rid of them. So she thought they were like the best cookies in the world. There was one yard we went to that everyone was done, and I went back to check on something, and this old lady was looking at this like really just ugly looking bush. I was like, do you want me to get that like taken up for you? I can get rid of it. And she went inside, and I was like, what is this old lady doing? And she went and got a picture of this bush, and she was like, do you see how pretty this is? I was like, yeah, and it's prime, I guess. And she's like, do you see the potential that's worth in this bush? I was like, well, I guess I can. I just looked from the outside, and that's what it looked like. So I just thought it was pretty cool how, even though the bush was dead, she looked for the potential in what it could be. And I think that's what we need to do with people sometimes. We don't need to look at the outside and look what they can be on the inside. And it's just pretty cool how I got that message through God from like a bush. So, and God bless the people that went to Guatemala just because you didn't have to eat those cookies.
Yeah, one thing that I think was interesting is that a lot of the women that we helped had testimonies of their own that they shared with us. There was a woman that we helped, and her husband had been missionaries in China for a long time. And there was another woman, we went to her house, and there was like nothing to do there, but she kept insisting that the city was going to take her home away if we didn't like fix her yard. I don't know. There was really nothing to do. But she kind of stopped us at the end and talked about how like she hadn't been a believer until she started, or she hadn't been a believer. She became a new believer and really started trusting God with her money, and then God started blessing her. And I think that showed us that everybody has something to offer, and this idea that missions is about the convergence of two people, both getting closer to Jesus Christ together, and not about us coming down from on high and fixing their problems and blessing them, but about meeting someone where they're at to push into the heart of Christ together, and that we can be ministered to just as much as those that we minister to if we do missions correctly. So that's it.
Jacob's Ladder, guys. Many of you have gone to Jacob's Ladder with me and other teachers in the past, and so this is just another group here that has gone through this. We've been doing Jacob's Ladder for I can't even tell you how many years now. I couldn't count them. I can't go back that far. But I think it's such a great ministry, and it really is one of those things that when we get there and when I see the way that David Hayslip, he just has this heart that God has given him, because God has to give you a heart to be able to do what he does and to serve and to go and to help the people that are a lot of times the less desirable. I mean, they're the people on the streets. Many of them have drug problems and other kind of issues, and some of them are just they're in situations that they couldn't help. And it's really when we go and are able to sit down with the people when we help with lunches and stuff. I'll let them tell some of the things that we did, but I just think it's such an important part of what this school does, and to hear the stories of some of the people that are involved in the ministry. And so I think that it's just one of those things that every year I kind of get a good fresh heart for that sometimes I think through the year I forget that need and that what God wants for his people to do for the body. So anyway, I'll let them tell a little bit about what we did.
All right, so Jacob's Ladder was a lot of work, a lot of like busy work. And so like we had to move stuff out of like a room and build a shelf in that room, and there was so much stuff, like a ridiculous amount. And then so we moved stuff, built a shelf, did stuff like that. But at lunch, like every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, they do lunch for the homeless, and so we got to go like speak to them. And me and Guthrie, they asked us to pray for a lot of people, so that was cool. But it's kind of cool to see these people, like, I don't know, I assume that like they like the reason that they're homeless is because like they didn't try or anything, but sometimes it's just like situations come up, and it's just like terrible situations, and they are forced to be in this. So it's cool to just help them out. It was a blessing to go, and I would like to go back. So.
All right, the thing that convicted me the most was the poverty just 8 blocks away. We got in the van and drove 15 minutes, and we were already at a place where they need meals or they'll go hungry. So yeah, like what Landry said, cleaning out that warehouse, that was much needed. It was basically a hoarder's house. And so getting that all organized was much needed help for them. And yeah, I would much like to go back.
Yeah, like they said, we got to eat with the people, which was not something I was expecting. I was expecting more just kind of labor the whole time. And Landry and I were eating with people, and they were all extremely happy, the people we ate with, which kind of shocked me. I don't know, just because they're like getting a free meal from someone else. It's just, I expected them to be, I don't know, not happy. But they were all like extremely happy and extremely open to conversation. And then at the end, like he said, we got to pray for him. And so we'd be like, what's going on in your life? And they would just give us this like string of horrible things that have happened, and ask for prayer. And it just like opened my eyes to how all these bad things have happened and how their life is just really not going well right now. And they can still be more happy, or just like more happy for like more happy than I am. And I live like, just a completely spoiled life. And it just kind of opened my eyes that even though these people are in horrible situations, they can manage to always see the bright side and trust in God. And it just kind of showed me that I should be able to do the same. So it's cool.
Yeah, another good thing was helping them because they had a lot of donations, but they couldn't find them. They just had them packed up there. And once we were like cleaning, and we realized all the stuff they need, but they couldn't get it because it was so many things. They just didn't know where they were. So once we cleaned out things, and they were able to find everything they needed, the clothes, all the glasses, the cooking stuff, and everything they needed, they were able to find it. And there were just like 2 or 3 people working there, so they couldn't like move tables or move the things they needed to move, and that just helped them a lot. And the happy thing that happened was the first day we were on the van, we were coming back for lunch, and we just had to stop the van for the traffic light, and Bean was with his water bottle here and his drink on the other hand, and he just stopped like that, and he just spilled his drink on my back, and then he was, "Are you okay?" And then he spilled all the water on the van, and so it was really funny. Bean made us all laugh because all the time we were just moving stuff, and we were, "Bean, could you hold him for 1 second? Hold the what?" And we're like, "Bean!" But it was really good. We get a lot of work done. We could fix many things, and I'm sure they all got all the stuff they needed, and they could like keep working now. But they have everything organized, and they can find whatever they need, and I'm sure that will be a blessing for them.
I would like to encourage you guys, if you're interested, they always need help. And you can get with Miss Hayslip. She could get you hooked up with the right people to talk to over there. But they're always needing, they have donations that come in. They need help with lunches there on Mondays and Wednesdays and Fridays, or cleaning up after breakfast every day. It'd be something great for you guys to do in the summertime. And really be able to help out the community in a way that would really have an impact. So, thanks.
Well, good morning. This lovely group and I had the opportunity to go help Link Ministries over the week. For those of you who don't know who Link is, this is our actually first year returning. Immediately after Missions Week last year, I went and started telling people that that's what I wanted to do this year. Really quickly grew a heart for their plans and what they do. For those of you who don't know, they are out on Avenue A and 19th. They own a few blocks out there. They're responsible for the property with the one-night skate park and sports park. They have the boxing club out there, and they also are working on an indoor soccer field and some other things. And they also are responsible for Tent City in its current form. Their motto is linking people with God's resources, and they primarily work with homeless outreach and donation systems. They work with other outreach and donation organizations around the city, and they get tons of donations from Tech and Home Depot and stuff, so they're able to help the homeless really get out of their situation and really work toward making their situation better. So I'm going to have them tell you a little bit about what we did this week. See if I forgot anything. The big reason that these guys were a huge help, and the reason I want to keep going out there, is because they have a small staff. They rely heavily on volunteers, and their grand plans are really awesome. They're working toward low-income housing and community center, as well as turning Tent City into not only temporary housing, but also to provide services for like Social Security and workforce and stuff like that for the homeless to really get off the streets. So, who was first? Okay.
I'm Tanner. I'm not sure how many of y'all know me. I transferred here from Monterey this semester, but this was my first time actually doing a missions week. And I mean, I got to do it with a lot of my friends, which was a nice thing, but it was really a great experience. I wasn't able to compare it to anything else just because we obviously didn't have anything like this at Monterey. But I mean, it was really cool. It was a lot of hard work. I was always pretty tired whenever I got home. But there was a really good feeling of accomplishment. Like, we moved this giant industrial cleaner that, I mean, several hundred pounds, but I mean, we all felt great after it, just being able to finally get that thing down the hallway. But I mean, overall, I think it was just a great thing, and I think it was good for all of us.
Okay, so day one, we moved a lot of furniture. It was ridiculous. But we moved it all out of this one room, and we'd either take it to a warehouse or we'd move it into another room. So that was great. And we also moved some backpacks downstairs, and they were filled with medical supplies and other things that the homeless need. And so, yeah, that's pretty much what we did day one. So this is my second year at Link, and I'm just trying to say why I returned. I saw their like grand plan and like how like they want to like change the community over there and like make it go from like ghetto into like a really nice area, and I really like it, you know, a little safer, you know. And I really like the people there. They're very nice, and they're like they work so hard with like so little, and it's pretty cool.
Hello. On day 2, Tuesday, we basically spent most of the day moving stuff from room to room, cleaning out different rooms, organizing clothing. We spent a long time organizing clothing that will go to the homeless and go to homeless children. So, yeah.
So on Wednesday and Thursday, we just basically cleaned out all of their warehouses, which we had to move like 1,000 of these mattresses on like from different areas in different warehouses in this big pile. And at one point, we had to climb up like on the side to get this tarp over it. And at one point, I actually fell asleep while I was up there, which is a little dangerous, but yeah, that's pretty much what we did on Wednesday and Thursday.
And a lot of it, especially what Zane was saying about moving all the furniture, we were moving furniture into a new like counseling and TV room, as well as preparing for a secretary's office, because they're finally being able to hire a secretary to help out there because they really need the help. And the backpacks are actually filled with like blankets and a Bible and hygiene products and stuff that they can actually give to those who need it. So really enjoyed getting to work with these guys, and yeah, it's a huge blessing. Oh, the couch that took 45 minutes to move through a small hallway. Yeah, it was really cramped. It was huge. Yeah, we learned a little bit about space management and physics there. So thank you, gentlemen.
Our team went to the Friends of the Library and to, I know, right? And then we went to Second Helpings, and then we went to Bayless. And it was great because we could have spent the whole time at Friends of the Library. They have a ton of work to do, but it's very just constant. And it's just very kind of mundane. And so it was wonderful to have a break. We did that Monday, Wednesday. And those shelves were full of books. And we had to bag them or move them or take stickers off of them. So we had a great team. We had a lot of fun. And our reward or gift, really, that the Friends of the Library did for us was to turn us loose in their children's department and let us take whatever books we wanted to Bayless. And that was not something we expected, but we were super thrilled to have the opportunity to pick a bunch of books because there were some gorgeous little color books and hardback books that they could add to their backpack program. But we ended up with about 25 extra books, just cute little paperbacks. And at the end of our week, we got to leave one on each kid's little pile for him to take home. And that was, I just felt like that was real purposeful. We got to put book plates in them and personalize them. It was really awesome. And then Second Helpings is a favorite ministry of mine. And one thing I liked about all the things that we did this week was these are places that our team and anybody who knows about this can go throughout the summer. Friends of the Library is posted in the library the hours that they allow volunteers. And then Second Helpings is Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday from noon to 1 is the food service. If you're going to get there at 11:30, you can help prepare or wrap silverware. So it's awesome.
This is my second year being with Ms. Felty's group, and I really liked it last year because you don't just work with one organization, like she said. Every other day we kind of switch off, so it's a nice break from one thing to the next. I personally really like working at the Mahon because it's really quiet and we're like in this basement. And the ladies are really nice and they provide really nice snacks. And on the last day we went to Bayless, and we didn't go last year, so that was nice. And it was a nice surprise also because I didn't really know we were going. But it was a huge blessing to work with the kids, and they really loved us, and it was just nice to be with them. So, yeah.
So 2 of the days we went to Second Helpings, which is like the feeding the homeless, and that was just a great experience. I did it last year too. So just being able to serve those people and just seeing just the thankfulness in their hearts, it just ministered to me, and just I don't know, just that face-to-face ministry was really nice. And then like she said, we went to Bayless, and I just love playing with those little kids. They were so precious, and like we were only with them for I think like 2 hours, but we didn't want to leave, and like we were about to leave, and they came and tackled us, and they were like, "Don't leave us," and so it was just really sweet, and so yeah.
At Bayless, we had a couple things that happened. We were only there 1 hour on Tuesday and Thursday afternoons, each of those days. And the first day they had us work with them in math groups. And we were their resource, and we couldn't tell them how to do it. Well, we could help them think through the problem. And their math was super hard. It was third grade, but it was super hard. And then on Thursday, when we went back, we did puzzles with them, and then the teachers, they had written stories in a little cutout piece of paper that was the shape of a horse's head, and they'd colored a horse's head. So you opened it up. The teacher had put it all together with staples and a stick. You open it up, and their story was there, and they read their stories to us, and that was awesome, too. It was fun to be a part of literacy, and these are the book plates that we were able to personalize, and all those books were the ones that they donated from Friends of the Library. Okay, thank you. Are they released to class? They are released to class. You may go.